How are you so disgusting? These words from the mouth of my friends stabbed my self-respect as a newly menstruating teenager in front of my peers. As a result, I stopped discussing period with my progressive mother and took advice from my cool and smart friends that led to severe consequences. Subsequently, this incident depicts that the taboo, misconceptions, and discomfort surrounding the natural process menstruation affects a girl's health, ultimately affecting her family and the entire community. When you will understand why the taboo surrounding menstruation is a curse for the society and how it affects a girl's health and finally the entire community, you will no longer be ashamed of it and will work to abolish this taboo once and for all. Subsequently, I will now discuss about the menstruation taboos and how it is actually a very bad process by talking about the harmful impacts, real life examples and evidences, by talking about investigating the irrational, man-made, illogical origin of these taboos, and finally how and why we should abolish it. To begin with, I will narrate real-life stories which of menstrual taboos that affected my health and my life. Remember that I talked about the period story, the fraction of the period story in the beginning? Well, I have always learned that period is a natural process since I was 11, since I grew up in a progressive family, and I was always asked to maintain proper hygiene by wearing sanitary pads and not being ashamed of it. But when I talked about menstruation with my friends, thinking that they would also be progressive like my family, they proved to show discomfort, and this led me to think of it as a taboo as well. As a result, I listened to their advice of using tissue paper instead of sanitary pads and not talking about menstruation. Because according to them, the chemicals leaked from the sanitary pads kill you. As a result, this led to a minor infection. I finally spoke up to my mother about this and realized that period is not a shame for a woman, but a pride. I lost a very dear person to me to cervical cancer. She was my best friend's mother, who was very loving and caring towards everyone except to her health. She had to cope in this conservative society and was trapped in the menstrual taboo. As a result, she was very ashamed to talk about her reproductive health, even avoided visiting the doctor. She faced cervical infection, which ultimately led to the deadly cancer and took her from our life. Let's not turn this into a very personal issue. I will go back to real life evidences. Look at this picture. Do you see this tiny little hut? Can you ever think of living here? Well, recently, a very disgusting and ancient practice called chapati was banished in Nepal. The practice involved banishing a woman who is menstruating to a hut, small hut like this outside her home, because she is thought to be impure and unholy. Living in this hut makes a woman vulnerable to diseases, rape, and even death. In 2016, a teen girl died in an unholy environment like this. Research on Bangladeshi school students show that the absence of Bangladeshi female students are mainly due to the misconceptions and disbeliefs about the menstruation taboos. The scenario is almost same everywhere, but how were these taboos initiated? According to a research report of Women's Studies International Forum, stigmatization of menstrual blood was introduced to dominate and reduce the status of a woman by implementing social control on women's emotional condition, physical well-being, and complete lifestyle for maintaining the social structure and authorizing patriarchy. I find it very weird that women are, in many regions, are asked to live separately during their menstruation, but not talk about it. I mean, if you live separately during your menstruation, then will people not know that you're on your period? Bizarre, right? So we should wipe out this process once and for all, these superstitions. But the question is how? I want to state the story of how I overcame my belief in such taboos. My fairy godmother, my wonderful mother, made me understand about my power to bleed and how to maintain hygiene during period, which led me to realize that this is not only a mere biological process but the core of human civilization, that is the creation of new life. Now we all should set this in our heart, that firstly we should let go of our misconceptions, we should overcome these taboos and these wrong beliefs, and then inspire others, because only then we can persuade others to believe in the same. Let us make sure to inspire the unaware people about the importance of maintaining hygiene during menstruation and to think of it as a natural process, because when one performs proper and maintains proper hygiene during their menstruation, they can give birth to healthy babies. And also, when a mother is aware and after giving birth to aware daughters, they can make them aware as well. As a result, this will not only ensure that healthy babies and healthy future generations are created, but also create more independent and empowered women. You are now informed through a proper depiction of statistics and real life examples that menstruation stigma is a curse for the society and must be abolished, and in mostly an all-round change of mentality is needed for this. So, what are you waiting for? We should all set on a voyage to ensure the birth of healthy future generations by letting the women bleed with pride.